What's going on, everybody? I am Michael Anthony, and thank you for checking out my article in this month's Shutter magazine. So guys, why do we want to build a luxury brand? Okay, this is something that is on all of your minds. I know it is, because the question that I get asked more often than probably any other is, how can I attract luxury clientele into my business? And one of the things that I always want to find out when I'm mentoring a photographer or I'm answering that question for a photographer is, have you ever experienced a luxury brand yourself? Because oftentimes we don't understand that in order for us to really provide a luxury experience, there are a lot of things that we have to change in our own business that we may not even be aware of because we've never actually had that luxury experience ourselves. So one of the things that I think that you need to do if you want to craft a luxury experience for your clientele is I think you need to go shopping. And I know that many of you out there are going to use this as an excuse to go to Louis Vuitton or walk into a Mercedes-Benz dealership or a Gucci store, and you're going to go out there and you're going to see what that luxury experience looks like. So you'll notice when you walk into a luxury store, you're going to be greeted with somebody who is well dressed and eager to help. Those are two of the things that you are going to get no matter where you go in a luxury store. And the reason for that is because they have to offer a much higher quality of service in order to justify the price point that they're going to be offering. See, in photography, we always assume that just the imagery itself is going to be the justification for being able to charge 3 or 4 times the amount of what the average photographer is. So for instance, I'm here in Los Angeles where the average price of wedding photography is about $2,600 all in, right? And our average client will invest around $10,000. So in order to charge a client $10,000, I have got to provide them with 4 times the value of what somebody can get by working with any other photographer that they choose. And that's really important, right? So when you walk into these stores, you're gonna notice that the people are well dressed, they're eager to help, and you're gonna have what equates to a personal shopper who is going to walk you around and show you items that meet your needs. And that usually starts with kind of a pre-shopping interview. And it may seem pretty simple. You might walk into a Louis Vuitton store, they're gonna ask you if you want any champagne, they're gonna ask you what you're looking for. You might say, hey, I'm looking for a new wallet, right? Or I want some shoes. Then they're gonna ask you a little bit more. And this is all part of the sales process where they're asking you questions in order to find out what products to show you to help give you better service. So if we are comparing ourselves to the photographer down the street, what does the photographer down the street's experience look like? Well, the first thing that you need to do is you need to find out, right? So that might mean shopping some of your competitors, which isn't a bad thing. It is something that all businesses do. You should shop your competitors and find out what that customer journey looks like, at least in the very beginning stages, so you can find out how you can improve upon it so that you can justify charging more. Because I got news for you. Even if they like your images and they like your competitor down the street's images, if you're 4 times the price and it's just a little difference in the photos or perceivable difference from somebody who's not a photographer, you're not going to earn that business. I can tell you in my area, even though we have a really good portfolio, we've got years and years worth of work, not every client is going to notice the difference between what I do and what some of my competitors do. And that is what is really important for you to understand, is that a client's expectations are generally, or their knowledge of photography, should I say, generally going to be a lot less than a professional photographer. So they may be willing to settle for somebody who is less experienced as a photographer, because in their mind, perceivably, the image quality is exactly the same. So that's where your service has to take over. Is your website well organized, right? Are you able to offer them are you able to help them find what they want to find quickly and easily? These are things that really, really help when you're looking for that luxury client. The next thing you have to pay attention to is where you are hanging out and where you are finding your clientele. This is really important, right? Because if you live in the suburbs, you may not be serving a luxury market per se, right? The best way that I can really equate this is if I were to do business here in my hometown of Santa Clarita, California, people that move out here generally, we want a bigger house, we want a bigger yard, but we don't necessarily want to pay the $10 million for a home in downtown Los Angeles. Well, the problem with that is if we're looking for people who are higher income in this area and we're struggling, we can't figure out why we can't find enough people who are willing to pay those luxury prices or have that luxury experience, a lot of it has to do with the area that we're marketing in. We really need to be focusing our efforts on Beverly Hills, on West LA, and on the places where there are a lot of high income earners in our area. So when we're marketing, I might want to target those areas through bridal shows or through targeted Facebook ads for people who live in just those areas that I'm looking to serve. If you do that, then you can combine it with all of the things that I talked about earlier in this video about providing that luxury experience, giving people a top quality service. You're going to find that more and more clients who are willing to pay your prices come into your area and your orbit. So if I were to move to a new area tomorrow and I wanted to set up a luxury photography business, the first thing I would do is I would look to rent studio space in one of those luxury areas, the more affluent areas, the places where people hang out. So maybe I'm not necessarily going to live there because it might be too expensive, right? But I might want to rent some studio space in one of those areas, even if it's a little bit smaller, so that I can have a home base in the center of the areas that I want to work. I think that's really important. And I've heard that in a lot of businesses, not just in the photography industry, but it does make a big difference where your actual home base, your physical studio is located. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you guys have any other questions about building your luxury brand, please make sure to check out my article. That's where the bulk of the information is. And I will catch you guys in the next month of Shutter Magazine.